Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leathercraft Supply. Let's talk about making a simple double wrap cuff because this is gorgeous and easy. Doesn't look simple, but it is, and I'll show you every detail. Simple though, secondly, because use this as a jumping off point for an untold amount of designs. There is no end to the possibilities with spots, rivets, conchos, grommets, eyelets, wirework, beadwork, braid work, even acrylic. All right, so let's start easy. We're going to use a 4 to 5 ounce natural veg tan so I can drop in my stamps 5/8 inch wide by about 22, maybe 24 inches long because that'll cover just about any wrist. Now, let's measure our wrist. I've got a tape, but if you don't have a tape, no panic, no worries. I can simply take a piece of thong or lace or thread, and I'm going to loosely wrap that around my wrist. That'll give me my wrist measurement, coming in about 8 inches. So it's a double wrap, so I need to double that. So I'm at 16 inches as a minimum measurement on my strap. All right, so let's mark some leather. Now I'm going to add in an oblong because I'll need that for my buckle tongue. So I'm going to make a mark on either side of that for my rivet holes to secure that in. Now, size measurements. I'll typically go from the middle of my oblong, come out to 16, and I'm going to make a mark there. All right, that's my measurement. Now I want to back in a 1/2 inch, and I want to go out 2 more halves. That's 4 holes, should give me a nice measurement. And that leaves me plenty of room to put in my English point. Well, so we mentioned English point. We're going to use an oblong, an English point, and a rotary punch. Let's do that. Now my revolving punch will make my round holes for my rivet and both my size holes. And we're going to use an English point to put a belt tip punch on my strap. And lastly, an oblong punch for my buckle. Very nice, we are halfway there. So, second half, floral stamp, antiquing, buckle. That's all we're going to do, and it's going to be beautiful. So let's set a simple floral stamp. Now, this is one of my favorite stamps because it's an old school, kind of an old world look to it. Also, there is a left and a right, but we're simply going to work with just one side for this cuff. Now I'm going to case my leather or wet my leather. Now, when I'm wetting my leather, even if I'm just stamping a small corner, I want to wet the entire piece so I avoid water lines and watermarks if I'm going to leave it natural or I'm going to use a lighter colored dye. Now, let's just drop that in. Very nice. Now, let's just make a nice, clean, consistent strip of the floral stamp. And one last stamp. Very nice. Very clean, very straight and consistent. Looks good too. That's a nice stamp. So, let's drop in some antiquing and a top coat. All right, so we've given that a little bit of time to dry. Now I'm going to put on my gloves because I'm made out of leather too, and I will antique just as nicely as my strap will. But with an antiquing, it's not necessarily going to darken the leather or color the leather greatly, but it's going to sink down into the cracks and the grooves where I've stamped, and it's going to be beautiful. Now, I'm going to use a dauber on my antiquing because it's a little bit thick, and I need to get this down inside these stamp lines. So I'm simply going to rub this on. There we go, and get a little bit down in some misses there. All right, so now that that's on, I'm going to take just a simple cotton rag and I'm going to wipe off my excess. Very clean. Now let's make one more pass. Now, isn't that gorgeous? That's just great. It's exactly what I'm looking for. All right, so let's give this about an hour to dry, and then we're going to hit it with a top coat, which is going to make it pop. So our antiquing is dry. Looks very clean, nice color. Now I'm going to take an atom wax, or what's known as a leather balm, and I'm just going to lightly coat my strap. Let that dry for just a second, Now this is a wax base, so it'll give it a nice matte finish. Now I'm going to buff off the balance, and I'm going to take the same rag and start to buff it a little bit harder. Now it's going to go a little bit flat, but then once I get a little buffing behind this, it will be just gorgeous. Look at that gorgeous gloss. That is beautiful, just really makes that color pop. Well, it may be a simple project, but it certainly doesn't look this way. Last step, let's set a rivet. And again, this is one of those places where we have all kinds of possibilities. We're going to use just a simple center bar buckle, but we could go all the way up to a nice buckle set with a buckle, a keeper, and a matching tip. So let's use a center bar buckle. I'm going to load this simply from the back of the buckle. I'm going to come through, let the tongue slide through the oblong, and I'm ready to go. So I'll take a small double cap rivet, drop that in. Now I'm going to set the cuff on the edge of my marble so that loop of leather that goes around my buckle hangs off the edge, making it a good bit flatter for my rivet. Easily done. Well, that just came out nicely. Leather is just elements, and they're all easy to learn. Simple, yes, but it's beautiful, but also at the same time, use this as a jumping off point to go in 100 different directions. I hope every cuff you make is beautiful. Good luck with your projects.